They'll be calling you a radical. Kevin Blanch, a lot to talk about today. First off, the new study that's coming out of Victoria, and he's quoting the study on the kelp study. First off, this is how figures don't lie, liars figures. You know, I did many videos on leading up to this study, which is funded by the government, and the kelp study. By the way, Joe, one of our army, talked to the kelp study at Long Beach State or one of those universities down there, whatever. He had a long talking. It was a pathetic conversation. Now, you know, as I freaking put this up as far as the NSET goes. Now, let's talk about the reality and the clarity of the real data. Now, sockeye salmon, I'm not an expert on the migration patterns of sockeye salmon, but I sure am on tuna. And no one knows. Now, we know in August of 2011 that the silver streak, had trace amounts of cesium-137 in their tissue. Okay, Ken Buser, right there with this guy saying none, Ken Buser saying yes in his bucket fuck sweaty. Now we know as the study, I argue when they set this background a year ago in the kelp study, they did the background study in January of 2013, when Fukushima happened in March of 2011. They know exactly what, so they set the background level. So the study's completely, I'm an ex-stats professor right here, the #1 school business in the world. The study is completely worthless. Their answer is, really? 13 fish? Really? A couple bucket samples? Really? Wow, it's pathetic. Now we know that the Navy has the real data and has the real thing, and that's why, now think about this, if the Navy and the powers there be, Berkeley has the data, I've had it leaked to me from the early days, you know, we presented it, the early data right here, you know, over and over and over. I presented data standing in this exact same spot on March 15th that was in Sacramento on March 12th, the plume that hammered over, so now we know that they had zirconium fires in 1, 2, 3, and 4, just hammered us. They don't talk about the air plume that just continues to hammer us and really hammered us in the early days. Now let's talk about this as far as the data. Okay, his end study, Buser says yes, it's here. He says no, it's not here. In 19 fish. Come on. This is not a homogeneous bathtub that sloshes across. We know it's going to be pockets. We know, I mean, it's going to be, you could test 1,000 places and get none. And then all of a sudden you're going to go, whoo. They caught a fish off the coast of Fukushima on day about 100. I think it was 40 miles out. Had 16,000 times. Now let's talk about the fact of the Sony hack in correlation to South Korea right now. South Korea's been in TEPCO the last few days. South Korea banned the fish coming from Japan immediately. So did Russia, so did China. In fact, Japan had to step in and stop sending it into the restaurants of Manhattan, the Northern Fishing Alliance. They had because we refused to protect ourselves. Right as Fukushima's happened, look it up, as I reported it them days. As it was happening, I said they want to kill Bert and Ernie. The budget debate was going on. They needed sacrificial lamb, the price of 1/10 of 1/1,000,000th of one bomb. The military industrialized complex got them up. What did they cut? They cut the food inspection. It came out of PBS, Gilbert and Ernie are cutting, and I'm the one that came up with all that terminology way back, as they want to try to catch up now. You know, a lot of talk about the 10-9-year-old. I knew Goffman personally. They destroyed him too. They boiled you like the frog. These studies are completely worthless. Now, I do agree with him in this study. I do agree with him that he says the ocean is dying. For you people that say it's not dying, any oceanographer, I've been up and down, and I'll be walking up there again for the umpteenth time on every square. I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands of them. They all agree with me. Ocean's dying, and these reasons he says that the ocean is dying, he says the reason the ocean is dying, I agree 100% with him on this. What a view this is going to be. They're Canadians. Now I want people to understand. What is that? I want people to understand, why are they still here? It's December the 19th. We've never had anything like this. The meteorologists that I know are freaking out on this university. They're going crazy about it. Let me show you something. These are leaves. This is northern Utah. Northern Utah. Let me downhill right there. That's been a moment. I mean, Look at these leaves. You see the brown scarring on the edges. This is, I mean, we've had dry so-called winters, but we'll get rain instead of snow or whatever. We have those. It happens. I mean, we can get snow this deep like that, but this has never happened. The Western United States is in crisis, in mega crisis, and you go in denial all you want about it. The emperor has no fucking clothes. Now back to the studies. So we know in March of 2014, the silver streak. Now we don't know where, I'm not going to get into the sake tuna freaking migration pattern, but I don't think they migrate from Japan. Now, I'm not an expert on that, but we know the fisheries as I talk to them up in the Gulf of Alaska, scarring all over the fish, burn marks on the herring, go eat your fish burgers. But we know the tuna do, you know, and the tuna, the fastest creatures probably on the face of the earth. We know, I mean, such sacred halibut. That's why I use stay untuned. Stay untuned, I don't say stay unsalmoned. I've never said that. I say stay untuned. Hell, I wouldn't eat anything out of the ocean, even if Fukushima didn't happen. So these things they're saying, the over-fertilization, the industrial complex, you know, the dumping, all of it. By the way, you do know that they're baiting back in California. That's why they've raised it. You know you're a senior citizen in California, 55 now, they're taking on Florida. They've brought back the cruise line industry and how they bait it. Cruise line says we want to dump our waste in the harbor. A few years ago, California let them. So eat up that seafood. You know, it's unbelievable how, but the ocean is dying. I mean, that's undebatable. That is an undebatable, heavily documented. The creatures of the Pacific are dying. Now, can we go on? I don't know. I mean, are we going to end up like Spain? You know, cut down all the trees to build the Armada, you know, and so no animals, no trees. A lot of places in Europe did that. But the ocean's a whole different freaking being then. I mean, these guys kill animals, I mean, at all costs, so you can put a freaking trophy. I mean, it's outrageous. Those days are over. You know, it's just like I'm going to get my gun to protect my gun. You know, why don't you take your covered wagon, go out in the salt flats on Speed Week? You know, they. We're they. The technology, the repression regime against you is, I mean, you got a wagon wheel. They got freaking drones from outer space. The Korean study, now I think it's a big deal as far as the hacking. Korea didn't hack them. Are they setting the playbook for something? Yeah, I mean, it's nation building, flag waving, you know, now they're the new enemy. So the fish study, Koreans have been in Japan. Japan's still dumping, wants to dump. They had another accident over and over again. So to draw a line and say this is some kind of line in the sand like the Bikini Atoll was a bomb. You know, and you can draw the line and the thing, oh, that's okay, it's just the Bikini Atoll. It killed a gazillion fucking people and made those islands uninhabitable forever. You know, the actual island, you know, the family just goes back to the graves once a year. That's it. You know, Chernobyl, you take it out of the equation. Fukushima, just the fact that you take the landscape out of the equation forever, that's enough. The answer, there's no fucking answer for the nuclear waste forever. And the fact that we do not use nuclear energy, it is just nothing but a cash cow scam. And if San Onofre does not prove that to you, 13% of the grid, the hottest summer in history. Oh, without San Onofre, we're done. We have no oil blackouts when the hottest summer in Western United States by many times. Japan, 48 reactors, which is really 56. Some of the pro-nuclears would tell us 70-something%. They've been all offline for 4 years. As you get American propaganda, oh, they're restarting, it's okay. When the rest of the world knows better, you know, they know better. You know, in China has kicked Westinghouse out. Why? Are they becoming, they're in a freaking economic boom from hell. 35% of everything that's consumed in the world is us. On the backs of Americans, they take, close the American factories making $20 or $30 an hour, or 40 or 50, and put them over there making 26. Same people own them. It's freaking capitalist, fucking globalist. How do you fucking shut down a globalist with a tariff? It's unbelievable. But these studies are completely worthless. Now, what's going to happen? The only way this is going to break, and it's going to break, and by the way, if somebody asked me, what was the first thing you would do if you became president? And I said, simple, invade Canada. And I'm not kidding. Think about the flaw that the Queen, she's colonialized America and thinks that's her military force. What if inside the military, which the military runs this country, do not kid yourself, the military coup of 2000, what if inside the military, which is going on, I know for a fact, inside the Navy and the Marines, and Fukushima is the key component to that, the fight within. What happens if they say, we're not playing ball with the Queen no more. We don't like this colonialization. What happens then? I'll tell you what happens then. Think about it. Say if the United States turned on the fucking House of Windsor, turned on this special relationship, turned on Murdoch's wife having fucking sex with Tony Blair. That's a fact. You do know that's why he divorced. But she got a couple kids to fight within. It's pretty crazy. What if they just says, hey, we're taking fucking Canada from the fucking Queen. It's ours now. What the fuck they gonna do about it? Those fuckers had fucking, it was everything them fucking inbred fucking rats had to do to fucking protect the Falklands. They're really gonna go against this military fucking monster beast from hell, the most technology fucking biggest fucking repressive beast. What happens if it switches inside? And it will. You know, I've had a fucking gut full of fucking Canadians for this year, I can tell you that. Wow. And I know there's plenty of wonderful Canadians there. I'm talking about the whole fucking, you know, the gig, the fucking Edelman PR machine, you know, you ban, I mean, it's outrageous. These fucking studies are worthless. They set the background studies from 2013 when we know Fukushima was here within days. I presented it, and I would date anybody. I will debate anybody on this. They won't give us a platform. They will not give us a platform. Not one single real anti-nuclear vest has ever shown up on it. Now, I was on PBS in Oregon. You know, Dresser got me on there, but we've never got a platform. Never. Not one single newspaper, not one single anybody will ever give me a platform. Give any of us a fucking platform. None of them. You know, RT, they'll interview me and they crop me out as long as I don't speak about Fukushima. As soon as I speak of Fukushima, they chop me, which they've interviewed me many times. Fox News in San Diego, they interview me all the time on San Onofre. You know, I've been interviewed many times. They won't show my face, they'll use my voice. They will not give us a platform because it's a fucking club. You know, it's the biggest thieving ripoff economically in world history. It's the mass murder of all time. It's the biggest cover-up in U.S. history. Why do you think I went all in Fukushima news? Just like Megan Rice went all in for everything. And I want people to understand, no, too. Normal blood counts on me should be 350. You know, everybody thinks I'm healed up and better. They're 140. You know, I'm still in the fight of my fucking life in a cancer. I mean, wow, what a story. What a fight. What a fight. Oh, what a lonely boy. Wow. I can't believe it, to be honest with you, how isolated we become as real, not, you know, bored fucking people, whatever, fucking thing, real, true, on the ground, fighting the nuclear fucking cartel activists. How few there are of us, really, and how lonely a fucking battle it is. Wow. So, anyway, the fact of the matter is, the Navy has the data, and I know for a fact they have the data. They know the truth. Our FOIA documents, our team, and it's more than just FOIA documents, by the way. We have a lot of interviews. We have a lot of stuff that people will not talk about in public, and I understand why. But I'm hoping while I'm in California, I hope we don't get an earthquake, you know. But, boy, they overdo. But I'm hoping that somebody inside the Navy and or the Marines breaks ranks and presents the fucking real data, which I know for a fact they haven't. And I know for a fact that it's not good. And when the public sees the data, the real data of the Pacific, they are going to be on aghast. They know what I know. Now, I want to tell you this. There are ships for the United States Navy and personnel. That's all they do. That is all they do, is collect data on nuclear disasters, nuclear fault. That's it. An incredible, beautifully orchestrated with incredible dynamic, the greatest equipment on the face of the earth, the greatest, some of the greatest minds on the face of the earth. But they, you know, they're in the military. You know, they follow orders. That's the way it works, the military. Somebody's going to break ranks inside there. Now, if the data which they have was showing what Buesler and this guy is showing, you don't think they would be screaming that from the top of every rooftop, NBC, ABC, CBS? They would be everywhere screaming it. They're not saying nothing. You know why they're not saying nothing. You know, so we'll stay on this. Somebody inside the Navy is going to break ranks. And when they do, and I want everybody that's been on these black and yellow whores and all these people, you know, we know, Buser will come out and tell you right now, I'm not anti-nuclear, I don't even like anti-nuclear acts. All these people were. They're funded by the government, these studies, and these governments, liars don't figure, figures lie. You know, they're using selective data. And when they come out and in their studies, they'll say, we're expecting not to find anything. Now, as a stats professor, some student come to me on his study and said in his hypothesis that he was expecting not to find one way or the other, I would rip it up and fell him and throw him out of the fucking class immediately. The study is contaminated right then. It's over. It's over. They're called biases. You know, we use outliners. The biggest component to any study is a bias. That's why it has to come from the military. And I know there's people inside the military because I've talked to them behind closed doors. You know, they can't. I've talked to lots of them. They know. I've talked to people inside the Marines. They know. They know the data in Japan. I was on the plane with a young woman from the intel in the Marines. They know the data. They know. They'll tell you in private. You know, I'm not about to compromise them. I'm not about to put them in fucking jeopardy by fucking sneaking a camera and everything. I'm not going to do that to anyone. I won't do that. You know, I don't play that way. You know, I've told my story. You know, in YouTube, I've laid everything out there on the line. I've been the most transparent fucking YouTuber in history. It's amazing how transparent I've been. So, you know, it really is you're either with me or you're against me. It's that simple. And I know there's very tiny Eric Jordan, Lonnie Clark, Thomas Ackerman. You know, there's a few that are with me. You know, and there's been some people that have, you know, used to support me. You know, that got taken care of, the fucking Canadians. That gig's fucking over. They, you know, these fucking liars. These fucking liars and Edelman, their PR machine, and the environmental company, and fucking, I mean, wow. Boy, did they fucking tee me up. But you're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop me. I will find a fucking way. That's why I'm going to California. I'm going to walk on the fucking beach every fucking step. And, you know, I'll grow it organically. I'm an anti-nuclear activist. I'm a human rights fucking activist. I'm the real fucking deal. I'm the real thing. You know, I'm not afraid to get into the fucking trenches and do the fucking dirty fucking work. And I'm not sponsored by anybody, by no one. You know, the death of my family members is what fucking keeps me motivated. Watching my fucking, the two loves of my life dying of leukemia, and then me almost fucking dying of leukemia. And I love my grandchildren, and I love my children. And that's just the facts, the way it is. I mean, what you see is what you fucking get with me. I physically represent exactly who I am, always have. And it's a hard gig. It's cost me a lot of relationships. It's cost me a lot of things in my life. You know, a lot of things. But money's not wealth, and I know that. This will be wealth. This is wealth. The landscape. Stay tuned.